How do you look back on the times where you were comfortable?
Yeah. Well, at first, I think I want to explain that I've been thinking about comfort as a spectrum.
Yep.
I think on one side of the spectrum, you have pure comfort. The only thing that you're feeling, thinking in that moment is like comfort. So like the sitting on the couch, you got the snacks next to you, like everything is just like bliss. Mm-hmm. And then you got like comfort mixed in with some, other emotions along the spectrum until you get to, I don't even know what the other side is, but let's just stick to talking about pure comfort.
Yep.
For me, when I look back on times when I've chosen pure comfort, it's always because I've felt completely overwhelmed.
Yes.
I've allowed tasks and to stack up. I've been putting pressure on myself. I've fallen out of habits, and I feel lots of uncertainty, and I feel completely overwhelmed by the amount of things that I have going on in my head. And that's when I feel pushed to choose comfort, and that's when I default to comfort because I need to escape from this overwhelmingly big monster that I've created in not doing something. And in those moments, I know that it's wrong, but for a period of time, it feels too difficult to choose anything else other than comfort. Because the monster, you've just let it grow so big.
Yeah.
And I guess what I've learned, like especially in the past 12 months, is just it is like a mile wide and an inch deep, and all you need to do is take the first step, and then suddenly you realize it's not a hailstorm; it's basically sunshine.
Yeah.
it's light rain, it's smizzle, and you just got to push through it. But yeah, it's always feelings of overwhelmed, being completely overwhelmed, that push me towards choosing comfort.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's going to be a recurring theme for, my answer as well. It is just creating big monsters. And the bigger the monster gets, the more you want to hide from it. The more you want to hide from it, the more you choose comfort. And the more you choose comfort, the bigger the monster gets. So the more you choose comfort. And it's just a cycle. It just repeats itself over and over and over again. But I think the times, and I've had long periods of time where I've almost exclusively chosen comfort. It's just been my entire life was comfort. In the uni days, it's you're drinking a lot, and maybe you're playing video games, and you're just partying. You're just doing what feels good. You're just absolutely like making decisions purely based on emotion, what feels good right now. And the word that comes to mind is passive. Like that is how I would describe that period of my life, is passive. You feel like a falling leaf floating side to side with changes in the wind. Like you're ready for someone to just take you wherever they want, because you're in zero control over your life. You're very much sitting in the passenger seat. You take zero responsibility for what you're doing. You just say, okay, I'm just going to choose to feel good now. Whatever happens, happens. But you just put your hands up and you say, well, this is what it is. And you have a lot of monsters in the closet, and it's a very stressful time. I think a lot of people who deal with anxiety problems, I think a lot of that is where this comes from. Constantly choosing comfort, creating big monsters, choosing more comfort, living passively, getting to a point where you realize, wow, this is really not what I had my life planned out to be, not one bit. And at that point, that is a big pivot point where people call it the fuck this moment, where you either decide to just completely change course, or you just concede the fact that your life isn't what it is. And that's a sad time for a lot of people. But passive, that is the word that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I mean, you say passive, and the association that I also draw is static. Like it's like feels like the opposite of progress when you're choosing comfort, because you're putting off the things that you should be doing, that are progressing you towards what you want. But what I want to kind of ask you to go further on that is, do you think, or how do you think that plays into the entrepreneur life cycle, and maybe the death of a lot of entrepreneur life cycles that don't quite make it into a lifelong journey?
I think there's a big mismatch between expectations and reality. And I think that's where a lot of people fall, is you nearly always expect things to be easier than they were and take less time than they were supposed to take. And when that's not the case and things get hard and there's a lot of things that are happening, you might start to just block your ears and go, I don't want to listen to this. Let me revert a little bit more to comfort. And then the problems get bigger and then the other opportunities seem a bit shinier. And that's when maybe you switch niches. Maybe I change my business model. Maybe I change something big and then I start all over again, or I just completely quit. But either way, it is not a good outcome. I think a lot of that comes from the mismatch and the poor handling of when you realize that things take a lot longer and are a lot harder than they actually are. Because a lot of us are making decisions when we are at the peak of our motivation, when we feel really good, when we're like, all right, I can do this. 1 year, easy. But then you get a few months and you're like, oh, 1 year. Well, that's actually a lot of time. Well, that's actually quite difficult. Or it might take 2 years. Oh, that's pretty hard. Oh, this other thing looks pretty good. And then it all starts over again. Yeah. Or it doesn't. Or it just stops.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't think that it could be uncomfortable for that length of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost a coping mechanism to tell yourself, oh, it'll probably only take like 3 months. Like I can handle 3 months of being uncomfortable to get this goal that I really want.
Yeah.
But I think we all shoot ourselves short, or we all make up these imaginary deadlines when we think things will happen, and usually it does take longer.
Yeah.
And I think you do find that make or break, that break point of can you sustain this discomfort, or will you just go either restart the journey or just drop out completely, which is
And that's why I hate deadlines for outcomes. Because you cannot demand of the universe when you're going to receive something. Like you can have deadlines for inputs. I think that's a good idea. But you need to define inputs that make it unreasonable for you not to achieve that outcome. But you can't define when that outcome is going to happen or how it's going to happen. You can just define the inputs and take the actions. But you're in no control over when you're going to achieve anything.
Yeah.
So why would you set a deadline for yourself? Because then what happens if you don't hit the deadline? Then what? You're going to stop what you're doing?
Yeah. I really wish I could be hearing this like 18 months ago, even like 2 years ago, because I think part of what built up these big monsters for me and all of this feeling of being super overwhelmed and then choosing comfort and starting that cycle was putting lots of pressure on deadlines of outputs.
Yes.
Instead of just focusing on consistent inputs.
Yeah.
And then those things can eat you up. If you say, oh no, but I was going to get the tax return done in 2 weeks' time, and it's a month later, it's double the time, and I still haven't get it, and I don't even want to do it today.
Yeah.
It's like, no, if your goal or what you're measuring, your input was 2 hours a day, you can do that every day, and you can make that cycle work for you. You can have that ball rolling in your direction.
Yeah.
Great point.
100%. And I want to actually, because I've spoken about being passive and how I live passive, but I actually want to go a bit deeper into what that meant for the outcomes in my life. So when I was second year of university, I was reading a lot of books on entrepreneurship, and I was like, okay, this is absolutely 100% what I want to do. I hate my degree. I was doing a finance and economics degree, no interest in it whatsoever. But I was like, well, I guess everyone else I know goes to university, and that's what my parents want me to do. So I guess I'll do that. AKA other people are going to make this decision for me. And then I finished university, and then it's like, okay, so you're going to be an entrepreneur now? No, everyone gets a job after university. And my parents want me to get a job, and everyone wants me to get a job. So I guess I'll get a job. So then I got a job for a year. And then I was in the job, and it got to that point, that fuck this moment that I was talking about, where I went, oh, okay, this is not the life I want at all. This isn't even close to the life I want. So then I just made the decision. I said, okay, well, if I take these set of actions, it would be unreasonable that I will not achieve my goal of becoming an entrepreneur. So let me just do that. It was only at that point, that was 4 years later, 4 years of just letting other people make decisions for my life. And it is a horrible way of living, because you feel good in the moment, but it causes a big existential crisis.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to learn from a story like that. And I kind of had a similar experience, because I took an entrepreneurship breadth in my degree, in my science degree. And pretty good lecturer, actually. In the first first kind of class, he says like, you will never work harder than if you decide to become an entrepreneur. Like, it's not for everyone. You're going to lose this. You're going to lose, family connections. You're going to lose time with loved ones. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was just sitting there going, yeah, no, that does not sound enjoyable. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because like, it had always been like an idea in my head of, something that I thought I could do that I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he basically showed me like, this is going to be uncomfortable. And I went, yeah, no thanks. I'm good. And then, you end up putting yourself, I think what I'm trying to get at here is, if you had just started with what the actual goal is, you spend a little bit of time thinking about what you really want, what you want your life to look like. And then you figure out the inputs and you lock those in, you stay consistent.
Yeah.
You end up where you want to end up.
Yeah.
But if you start choosing comfort because you're put off by the discomfort of achieving those goals and the outcome seems too big, too scary to achieve, then you end up going down this path that you never wanted to go down, and you have to get to the fuck it moment and make that decision, which like isn't fun. Like, it makes for a great story.
No.
But it's a lot of passive suffering.
Yeah.
And then a transformational period, which is very difficult. Like, it's not, like everyone talks about this like transformational period. It's like, oh, it's like this great thing. And then you turned a corner and you were exactly the person you wanted to be. It's like, no.
Yeah, not at all.
No, I was backed into a corner. Yeah. Basically beaten until I like changed.
But
or beat yourself up until you change.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you talk about like, it creates a great story. And I think one of the reasons it creates a great story is because it is so much harder of a decision to make when you have to make it 4 years after you've done like a degree or you're into a career, and then you have to go, you know what, let me throw this all away. I call this the barrier to exit. We talk about that barrier to entry. What's your barrier to exit look like? If you've created up an absolute castle that you have to leave behind, that makes it a lot harder, and that's why I think it creates a better story. But the thing is, the castle's made out of shit if it's not what you want. So what are you actually walking away from?
The castle's a prison if it's not where you want to live.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, it is. The castle is a prison.
That was a clip from the Modern Monk podcast. If you guys want 30-day early access to the full episodes, if you want to watch them live, and if you want to participate in Q&A calls after the podcast, then you can do all of that for free at skool.com/modernmonk. I'll leave a link in the description below for that. I'll see you there.